Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host Sandman. Today we're going to just be talking about some of my favorite tools that I use on a regular basis, the tools that I take with me to Locksport meetups, the tools that I compete with, the tools that I just use 100% of the time. Or I should say 90% of the time, because 10% of my time is going to be product testing and just enjoying my tools. I have a lot of tools that I don't use everywhere, but I do use them at home. I don't know. Let's get into it. So I probably use, I would say 90% of the tools that I personally use right now are going to be multi-pick on top of multi-pick. Now, understand that I do have a top 5 tool brands of all of the brands that I own, over 30. And, you know, Covert Instruments is up there, and this Apex tool set is really awesome. And I really love Jimy Longs. I really love Moki, and I use Jimy Longs in my primary kit. I use Moki a lot when I'm at home sitting on the couch because they're just fun and they're super comfortable. I really like the length of these. I like the pick steel. I love everything about all of these tools. So what I do is I actually have this guy. I've done an unboxing of this, but I need to do a review. This is a Leatherman case, and this thing is a beast. It's the perfect size. It's smaller than a lunchbox, and it holds so much. So I have, like, you know, my Covert Instruments bypass kit right here. This thing is loaded. I have every Covert Instruments bypass tool in here, and then some other random tools that I've collected over the years. So I've got that in here. It's some keen-eyed observer may notice that I have a magnet here. When you go to Locksport meetups and you're sitting at a bench and you drop one of your turning tools under the bench, it's really creepy and weird to start shuffling your hands underneath the table where everybody's legs are. So I use an expandable magnet here so I can pick up any lost turning tools. It also helps in low light environments because a lot of these meetups don't meet in, you know, well-lit areas like my group does. I have a Locksport group. Most of them meet in dark bars. So in here, I also have a backup set of what I think is, it's the Christina Palmer, like 13-piece, I don't know, set 3. I don't know. It's a backup set of tension tools. I really like these tension tools, and it used to be my primary go-to. So I got the Covert Instruments in here. I have all the leashy. Whoa, what was that? I have all the residential and commercial leashy in here. I'm missing a couple. I must have pulled them out to let people try them. I don't know what's going on. You know what? Actually, I have 3 leashy that is a part of my everyday carry. So if I need them, I just dip into that. So I like to take leashy with me to Locksport meetups, and, you know, just to have in this kit. And then the next thing I put in this kit, you know, obviously the Apex just came out, so that could easily fit in here. And I used to keep a full tool roll of Jimy Longs, but it's just overkill. It's not super needed. So the next thing that goes in this kit is I like to have a full size set of my my dimple picks here from Multipick. Don't forget to put this guy back in there. So this is all 12 profiles, all in the community edition handles. It's the best dimple pick set on the market, hands down. There's nobody that even comes close to this dimple pick set. It's fantastic. I love it. And so this guy goes in here very conveniently in here, just like pop right there. And I got this little space right here for my primary go-to lockpick set, and that's this for now. You know, like, this is what I've been working on. This is what I've been using for 6 months. Don't get me wrong. When I'm sitting on the couch at home, I will pull out my Mokis. That's where I enjoy Mokis, is sitting on my couch for some reason. I think it's just because I keep them on my coffee table, and I keep a whole bunch of locks underneath the coffee table. The coffee table, like, lifts up, and I have, like, all these locks hidden under there, and I have these tools in there. So that's when I use Moki. I love Moki. So they're great tools, but I like to also have the option of 15.5 thou or 0.4 millimeter. And these don't fit very well in a lot of cases. So that's why I use them at home. I don't really take these to travel, though I do have a set of Moki that I do travel with when I go to Locksport meetups. I just keep it in a case with a bunch of locks. I'm being very contradictive, I know. So Covert Instruments is currently coming out with their Apex tool line, and they have the gym hook. And so maybe I'll be able to play with that and add one of those to my everyday carry set. So I'm looking forward to that. The main thing that, you know, the reason why I have Jimy Longs inside of what would be almost completely multi-pick, but it's not complete multi-pick, and we'll talk about some of the stray things in here, is because of the gym style hook, which is why I use the Moki tools. I really love this gym style. That's a medium. That's, oh no, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I really love this gym style hook here. And it's basically a half diamond, but it has an inside slope and it has a plow on the outside. And it just really allows me personally, Sandman, yours truly, me, myself, and I, subjectively speaking, it allows myself to be able to feel the pin a little bit better. Sometimes I struggle feeling key pins if I'm using a flat hook, because I can move that pin forward, I can move that pin backwards, and I don't know where that pin is on that, or where the pick is on that pin. I have no idea. And if I have a rounded hook, well, a rounded hook on a rounded pin, that doesn't give me very much feedback either, especially if that pin is springy. Sometimes it's really hard to be like, wait, did I just touch a pin or is that something else? Like, I don't know. Well, it should just be a pin because that's all that's in there, right? But I really love using a gem style hook because not because it's similar to a half diamond, but because I like having a peak touching a rounded key pin. Now, when I'm picking locks that have rounded key pins, or excuse me, cone-shaped or let's say diamond-shaped key pins, such as Marks key pins or ASA or anything like that, things that are not necessarily rounded, but like torpedo-shaped or something like that, then I'll use a different pick. I feel like I'm going on a rant here as to my favorite type of tool, but that's why I have Jimy Longs in here and not Multipick tools in here, because Multipick does not currently sell or offer a gem style hook. They used to, and then they stopped. And rumor is they may bring it back. I don't know. I hope they do. So, because I like to have a completionist set, I didn't want to put a Multipick flat hook and then some gem style hooks in here from another company. So I'm using my Jimy Longs. I really love my Jimy Longs. These are the version 5. I have them color coded. The red means that they are 19 thousandths and the blue means that it's 15 thou. So that's why I have the Jimy Longs in here instead of Multipick. I love all Multipick profiles, but I primarily use the gem hook 99% of the time. So this is like my set, and I'm still kind of working on it, still kind of ironing out some of the kinks in here. I do need to add a deeper hook, a deeper flat hook for some of the higher security locks, but from white to blue belt, dare I say white to purple belt, I think I've had to use a deep hook for a brown belt, but for like white up to about purple belt, these are all the tools I've ever had to use outside of having to use modified tools for high security locks like Primus and things like that. So I can get away with just picking all of my locks in my collection up to purple belt, the ones that I can pick, with just these 3 lock picks. A medium gem hook in 18 thousandths, a medium flat hook or a low flat hook, one of the two, doesn't matter, in 18 thousandths or 19 thou, whatever is this, and then a medium gem hook in 15 thou. Like, that's it. That's all I need. I used to have a flat hook in 15 thou, but I realized I'm not really using it that much. So I'm trying to just cut out all the fat and only carry tools that I actually use. Let me start from left to right. I love having rakes as an option. I have 5 rakes here. I love having the 5 peak, the 4 peak, and the 3 peak at their tallest heights and their, the greatest depths and distances, because there's like 3 different versions of each of these, I think. I don't know. But, from Christina Palmer's design. And I really like the taller versions of these. I don't know if I can do it. Can we see what these are? Yeah, so I use the PN72 from Multipick. So also these are all 0.6 millimeter. So there are 23 thousandths. And so that was the PN72, the PN68, and the BOG03, or BOG03, rather, for Bogota 3. And all of these are 0.6 millimeter, 23 thousandths. I also am a fan of these. These are very similar to the King and Queen that was first featured in the Lockpick design manual in 1972 or 1973. But Sparrows made their own version, which I'm not a fan of. I think they're too large, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a lock that they fit in. This is the Bogue 09, and the opposite version of that is the Bogue 08. These things slay master locks like nobody's business. I think if I had to pick one rake, and it would be the Bogota, the triple peak here. But if I had to pick a number 2 and a number 3, for me, I really like these. I didn't add these in any of my sets that have my name on them because I wanted people to, I wanted them to be comfortable with tools that they can find anywhere in the world from any manufacturer just about. And Christina Palmer's designs are in 2/3 of the manufacturing space. I can get them anywhere. So, and I just wanted them to be accessible. I wanted to be affordable. And I wanted you guys to to just trust the consultation that these are all effective tools. But these tools, they're very similar to like a king and a queen. These are the most, they just absolutely slay the really small pen format type locks like Master and American and stuff like that. I really, really like these profiles. I actually have a Sparrows tool in here. I talk so much crap about Sparrows, but I'm experimenting with this guy. I'm able to pick a lot of sidebar locks that use finger pins like the ASA Twin 6K. However, I haven't successfully picked one of those yet. I've only picked them to the false set, and then I've been able to pick all the sidebars pins, the side pins on the sidebar, the sidebars. I've been able to pick all the finger pins to, the shear line for that sidebar. And then I'm working on my second shear line, trying to get things out of that false set. And then I drop all my pins. So I've done that to like 5 different ASAs at this point. So I'm still working on this, but honestly, you could probably use a modified flag, but that's the problem. All the flags for Multipick, as it pertains to working on ASA, Twin 6K, and anything like that, V10, they're a little bit too large. You have to have a modified one, but this seems to fit perfectly in there, and that's the only tool from Sparrows that I like. I think they did a really good job on that. I think maybe Lock Noob or somebody, I don't know who designed that. And then I'll get to these tension wrenches here in a second. I really like the Covert Instruments Ergo turning tools. They did a really good job on these turning tools. I think they're just awesome. I've been using ergonomic turning tools like this ever since I started watching Lockpicking Lore in 2015, and I remember he stated that he puts a 35-degree bend in these, so I started bending my pry bars with a 35 degree. So you'll probably never see me without these in my personal set. If I ever have a Sandman Essential Lockpick kit for Multipick, it probably won't happen. I don't know. I like using this Euro. It's called like a Euro tensioner. I like using that because this will sit at the bottom of a lock. I don't have a lock in front of me. Are you kidding me? All right, so here's a lock. So I like to put this at the bottom, and then that lifts that pick up a little bit and gives it to something to write on. Sometimes locks can have a really sharp 90 degree here at the fulcrum. It could really eat up the bottom of your pick here. But I really just like to have this as an option for lifting that pin up, and it just keeps me from having to use a taller, deeper hook sometimes. I find this thing coming in handy all the time, but it will get in the way of some float picking, and it can sometimes work its way out. So it's kind of limited in its use, but I do find uses for it all the time. I do have here just a regular probe. This is the Multipick PN66, and I like this probe because I used to use a broken pick. Now, I've never broken a pick from picking a lock, but I've taken picks that other people have broken because I loaned them to them, and I'd cut off the tip, and I would use this for disassembling quick set knobs and Schlage F-series style knobs. I think that's what they are called, where you have to unlock it. You pick the lock, unlock it, you rotate the cylinder, and you can retract the latch, and then the latch, and then you can take this and you poke this on the knob, and then allows you to pull the knob off for disassembly. That's when I started using probes like this. I now like to use probes specifically, especially for dimple locks. If you try to rotate a dimple lock plug 360 degrees, hell, just even 90 degrees, you're probably going to brick the lock, and the pins are going to drop into the keyway. So what's the point of being able to know how to get into locks if you can only do it in the comfort of your home? You need to be able to do it in the field. So I like to use this to fill up this space right here at the top, to fill up that gap as I'm rotating that plug. And that keeps the pins from dropping in the core. So it keeps it from breaking. So if you want to be able to slay multi-lock in the field in real world, or if you want to be able to unlock a padlock at a locksport meetup outside of just doing it at your house, then something like this does great. Now, some people will say, well, you could do that with a hook. I think my hook is a little bit too deep to be able to get into most of those multi-locks. You could still you could use the back side of this, and yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know. I just like this probe. I don't have to worry about the probe fitting. The probe fits every lock. This probe will fit every keyway, honestly. I really believe it will. Because all you need it is just to fill up that bottom of the keyway like this, and then you can rotate that plug, and you don't have to worry about bricking your lock. Bricking. And then I like to carry some decoders. I have this switch knife. This is really coming in handy as just a regular standard tool. Sometimes people get profiles or they get picks stuck inside locks. I have a pick stuck in a lock right now. It was a dimple pick stuck inside a master dimple lock. There's just some cavity back there, this voided space back there that it gets stuck in. So this is really helping me figure that out. I find stuff all the time. One time, went to a locksport meetup, and they had a warded lock that some new person stuck a lockpick in, and a lockpick got stuck. So I was able to, everybody tried, they couldn't get it out. I was able to use this multi-pick knife here, which is the SH01, and it's a bypass knife, but I don't bypass a lot of locks. I couldn't care less. I just use it as like a multi-tool because it's very rugged. It's very stick. It's 23 thousandths or 0.6 millimeter. The other tool I have here is the multi-pick. It's the UD01, and it looks like it's in 0.2 millimeter. Yeah, is that correct? Yeah, 0.2 millimeter. So I'm guessing like somewhere around 11 or 12 thousandths of an inch. I don't know. I'd have to pull up my calipers. Obviously, this is really great for feeling combination locks. That's really what it's for. You know, realtor style locks, padlocks with combinations on them, anything with a wheel and gates. I'm going to be able to decode with this, and it really comes in handy. I've been using stuff like this for a long time. Back in the day when I was a locksmith, I didn't have this kind of tool. I may have. I just didn't. No, I didn't have it because I couldn't afford the Dames, Peterson Dames yet. And I think Sparrows didn't come out with this tool until like 2014. So I was using these little lock shims right here. I would use this to stick inside. It's really thin, but it's got a curve to it, so it gives it some rigidity. And if you just draw a little line on here with a permanent marker, you can watch that line go up and down so you can feel and you can see those false gates on the combination lock. So I like having this in my everyday kit. And then before I get to the turning tools, let's talk about my dimple picks. I only carry 4, and I have been slaying dimple locks, and I've been slaying multi-lock to the best of my abilities up to brown belt. I need to pick this multi-lock MT5 so I can say I've picked all the multi-locks in there that they've sold. What's funny is the multi-lock classic or the multi-lock junior is actually harder than all the other multi-locks, the interactive and all that stuff that I've picked with serrated pins and stuff, because it's got such loose tolerances. This MT5 is giving me some trouble, but I'll keep working on it. But to do that, I've just used these 4 picks. I've proven that I can do it with other tools, but this comes from a rotary tool. So Data Tool, sorry, I bumped the camera there. Data Rotary Tools. They have this tool. It's kind of like a leashy for dimple picks here. And you just insert this into a lock and you're able to decode the lock, but I just use it for picking. And so when I was vying for my brown belt, I was picking a multi-lock interactive prison institutional lock, a mogul cylinder. And I used this and I submitted my brown belt and like, man, you can't use this because this is like a leashy tool. It makes it too easy. I was like, okay, no problem. So I took the pick out. I took that pick out right there. I took that pick out and I inserted it into a handle, and it was like 5 inches long, and I picked that lock with it being 5 inches long, and I was able to get my brown belt. And the difference is I was able to do it freehand, which was the requirements for brown belt. You can't use a leashy style tool, and that's fine. But then I ordered some more of those profiles, and I trimmed them down to be the same length of other multi-pick, and I really like it. And I'm going to be honest, I reached out to Multipick and say, hey, I contacted the manufacturer of Data, and I asked him if he'd want to make these in a hand tool, and he said there's no market for them. He doesn't want to make them. Is this something you guys may be interested in? I don't know if they're going to go with it or not, and but I haven't heard any word from them, but I would love to see them do that. Now, what is significant about this profile? I don't want to get too much into the weeds here with this profile, but there's a little flag and then a larger flag. The larger flag picks the outer pin of a dimple lock, of a telescoping pin-in-pin technology lock, and the little flag there picks the inner pin. And so I only need 1 tool to pick a lock that normally would need 2 tools. So having a left flag and a right flag of these Data Rotary tool flags allows me to replace, I basically would have to carry 4. So this is like 4 picks in 1. So I carry left and right, and this is what I've been using to slay all my dimple locks for the last 1.5 years. This is what I've been using, this experimental, this makeshift tool that's only found in a rotary tool that I put inside this handle right here. So I'm hoping that Multipick will move forward with that design. I'm hoping somebody does. That's why I'm talking about it. Like, you know, the quicker somebody moves forward with that design, the better. The happier we will all be. Why is this bent? Ugh, man, I need to take better care of my tools. And then I have over 30 or 40. I got a spider on my desk. Hang on. I've got over 30 or 40 dimple locks. And I pulled them all out, and they're from all around the world. I'd say 20 of them were sent to me by Jose Kazad, also known as John Dow. Thank you, my brother. I think he's from Budapest, and he sent me a whole bunch of Euro profile cylinders that are also dimple locks. And I just went through all of them, and I did product testing on all of them. And I found that the Multipick number 6, I think it is, and number 3, so the left and the right flag, or depending on the orientation that you look at it, right flag and left flag, the number 3 and the number 6, the G Pro, will fit all of those. They're perfect for those. You don't need anything smaller than this unless you're picking multi-lock, but that's what I have these for. And you don't need anything larger because these are the largest flags that Multipick makes. Actually, they make the big, large curved ones. I've just never needed those. I get a lot of success just out of these. These are also the same flags that are in the Lock Noob Essential Lockpick Kit. And it was cool to be able to come to my own conclusion and see that my conclusion was the same as his, because he's a better lockpicker than me. So I was like, oh, wow, I have the same taste, and I came to the same conclusion. But I really love these Multipick ones that I use on multi-lock. They're just absolute killers. So we talked about all of the rakes here. I've got the Jimy Longs tools, two of those in a gym style hook and one in a flat hook. I need to add one more flat hook here. It needs to be a deep hook. We'll just go ahead and add that right now because why not? And I will just add a real deep one. I need more product testing and experimentation on which deep hook I want to add because Multipick has deep hooks. So I haven't decided, but this is pretty much what I want to move forward with. You know, once Multipick has gym hooks, I can have all that in here. So let's talk about the tension wrenches here. I already talked about these 3. I really love these tension wrenches that are in the Sandman starter and basic and intermediate and advanced pick set. These are the double-ended Christina Palmer turning tools. They're fantastic. I just love them so much. You can use top of keyway tensioning. You can use bottom of keyway tensioning. Just fantastic. They're my number 1 most used tensioners by far. That's why they're in the Sandman pick sets. But here's something I've been working on. Let me move this out of the way. Here's something I've been working on that nobody else has seen, and it's not currently available on the market. In the Lockpick design manual that was written in 1972 or 1973, I have it. Okay, it's right here, actually. Let's go ahead and just bust that out and go to page 16, because I have that memorized. Of all the things, 1973, of all the things that I cannot remember, my friends, and that I can remember, I know what page to go to talk about this. So there's a manufacturer known as Peterson Manufacturing who likes to try to tell the world that he invented the pry bar, and I love to try to teach the world that no, he didn't. And so this is a pry bar tool, or a top of keyway tool. And this was written by a U.S. author who sometime before 1973 went to Europe, or went to Great Britain, and took a class, presumably from a government agency, MI6, on lockpicking, and then came back to North America and wrote this book. Most of the book is gobbledygook, and he doesn't even give the name as to who came up with this pry bar design, but he attributes it to the SAK system. SAK, and we don't know what SAK means, but the SAK system of tension is different from the American style of tension in that it has no spring to it like the American style. It's referring to bottom of keyway, half twist tension wrenches. Of course, I don't have one in front of me right now. Otherwise, I'd show you. Let me see if I can find one of those real quick. I think I found one. Yep. There we go. So this is what he's referring to. This is the American style right here, that half twist. This is what's been around since 1954, 1956, when HPC started making lock picks available to the North American market. So he says this system, this tension is different from the American style of tension that has, in that it has no spring to it like the American style. See, this has a spring to it. This is rigid, okay? The tension bar, okay, tension bar. Do you guys understand how somebody's trying to claim the term pry bar in our community, but this is referred as a tension bar, is constructed out of 3 millimeter stock. 3 millimeter. Right now, the current thickest pry bar is 2 millimeter because we don't need 3 millimeter. It's just not needed. So there's only 2 manufacturers that make it in 2 millimeter, and that's Moki and Lawlock Tools. But 3 millimeter stock, and is cut to fit very tightly into the base of the keyhole. Now he's talking about the base of the keyhole, but he learned this technique in Great Britain on Euro profile cylinders. So Euro profile cylinders are installed upside down, and that's a whole nother conversation we can have. But this, he's basically saying at the base of the cylinder right here, and that just so happens to be top of the keyway. Okay, so I don't mean for this to turn into this, but I want to get into why I chose these tension tools. So if you're still with me, hang in there. After it is finished, it is heated to a red glow and immersed into water, which is 63 degrees. SAK carries in his kit approximately 5 tension bars for each profile, and each bar of the same type is 1/10 wider than the others. So let's just stop there. 1/10 wider than the others. What does that mean? He carries 5. 1/10 wider than the others. Well, I'll show you. I'll show you exactly what that means. He carries, presumably, probably something close to a 0.6 millimeter. And I don't have 1/10, but I have 2/10. So I have a 0.8 millimeter, and I have a 1 millimeter. So 6, 8, and 10, so 1 millimeter. And then I have a 1.2 millimeter. And this is where things get real fun. I started taking some of these and started putting them together with this adhesive lined shrink tubing. And now this is a 1.4 millimeter. I have a 1.6 millimeter. I have a 1.8 millimeter, and I have a 2 millimeter for a total of 8 different thicknesses, all graduating in 2/10 of a full millimeter. So this is the most complete pry bar, a set of pry bar tension wrenches that you will ever see. I don't know of anybody that makes anything more complete unless you go above 2 millimeter, or unless you fill in gaps by 1/10 of a millimeter, or if you go less than 0.6 millimeter, which is ridiculously not needed. It's just absolutely not needed. So this is cool. This is what I put together. This is what I use, and I hope maybe you guys might find something like this practical. And I hope that maybe this is something I can move forward with Multipick in a future Sandman Essential Lockpick kit. So this is, I can't find a lock that these don't fit in. I remember I first tried this by taking two pry bars, putting them together to pick my Medico Classic lock for my purple belt. And then a year went by and I saw Ishlin's of Delta 44, the 3D printer guy. I saw that he took these and put an actual shrink tubing on them. I'm like, man, that's really smart. Like, I should just have a collection of these permanently readily available. So that's what I did. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. This is what I'm going to use for myself. I still stand by my consultation on the Sandman Intermediate and advanced pick sets, but I hadn't come to this conclusion until after that. So I'm starting to slowly evolve into something different, and this very well could be a prototype for a Sandman essential lockpick kit. Now, it's going to be very expensive. It's not going to be in everybody's budget, but it's just based off of what I personally use, and I absolutely, love to have my own lockpick set. It's just, this is mine, and if anybody wants to, get something like this, man, you'd be set up for life with this thing. There's just not much I can't open with this other than the locks that I'm still trying to pick. I'm a red belt still, and I've picked one black belt level lock, an ASA 700. I'm working on gold. I'm working on all kinds of stuff all other types of locks. So I'm working on it. I absolutely love this pick case. It's my favorite pick case of all my cases. I used to carry a Peterson, but all my tools would fall out of that case. And these, it's just the sewing and the quality control is just so much better on this. Is just better consistency from all the pockets going forward. And man, once you have this flap down like that, it's not going anywhere. Absolutely love it. Nothing's going to fall out of this guy. Absolutely love it. You can't even see any of the tools right there. Fantastic. Fantastic. So anyways, this is my personal lockpick kit, and I hope that explains, you know, what I've been doing. I'm still trying to decide what I want in here and what I don't, but I'm getting very close. I'm like 95% certain that this is all I personally want and need in my everyday carry pick kit. If I walk up, you know, I worked for Papa Lock. I worked as a locksmith in a shop. You know, I've done calls on the road and stuff like that. I'm very limited in that experience. I only did that for like a total of, I don't know, 7 months total across 2 or 3 different companies. But you know, this is what I would carry in any type of situation, whether it's just put this in my truck, go to a locksport meetup. A friend of mine, you know, gets themselves locked out. Yeah, I get it rule tool. Don't pick locks that are in use. Well, I feel comfortable and knowledgeable enough about locks that I can do those things. You know, I don't recommend that to everybody, but this is what I use. This is also what I use at home. You know, when I'm at home and I'm picking locks, I have my table vise right here. And of course, my number one selection is always going to be Multipick turning tools right here. And I always have my lock picks off to the side. You can't see, but I'll have it off to the side and I'll be picking. So I'm hoping that Multipick will come up with the gym style hook eventually, so that way I can be a purist and only have you know, whatever. But honestly, I don't feel the need to be a purist because I have the Sparrows slider tool in here, and I have the Covert Instruments tensioners here, and Jimy Longs. You know, what better way to show my appreciation for all of those manufacturers, because they all have their qualities, you know, that they all have their strengths, and some of them have their weaknesses. The only weakness that I've seen from Multipick thus far as of 2024, December 2024, is that their picks are really small for my hands and they don't have the gym style hook. But I use 3D printed handles for those for Multipick, and they fit perfectly in here. In fact, I use them so much that, let me pull this out here. So here we go. This 3D print, I have some custom 3D printed handles here for my Multipicks, and they fit all 3 different sizes, and I can, you know, go to town. These were in these thins. This is a thin profile, are in my advanced lockpick kit, the Sandman advanced lockpick kit for Multipick, because that was what was closest to the gym style hook. And these are fantastic for picking American locks. But I would prefer in my personal pick kit to actually have the gym hook. But these handles are just, they fit perfectly in this case. It's like they were made for it. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Multipick comes out with in the future. Otherwise, until then, it'll just be a hybrid set of tools. Folks, that's all I have for today. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your dream pick set? What is in your dream pick set? Is it a amalgamation? That's the word for the day. Is it a conglomerate? That's the second word for the day. Is it a mix-matched batch of picks from different vendors and makers and manufacturers? Or are you a purist and you're only going to use you know, Covert Instruments or Jimy Longs or whatever? I really love Multipick because of the dimple picks and the turning tools and the rakes and the bypass tools and the tension tools, which I already said turning tools. I love them all. I love everything. I just really need that gym style hook, folks. I need that gym style hook because I'm cursed. So that's all I have for today, folks. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.